Did you know the first Porsche ever built ran on electricity? Do you know which carmaker gave away its most valuable invention for free? Or how a blind man ended up inventing cruise control? These are 101 car facts you didn't know about, and most of them are way stranger than they sound. Number 1. The first Porsche wasn't a sports car, it was electric. Back in 1898, a 22-year-old Ferdinand Porsche built his first car, and it ran on batteries. He called it the P1, raced it across Berlin, and beat everybody else home by 18 minutes. Then it sat in a shed forgotten for over 100 years. So yeah, the first Porsche was an EV. Take that, Tesla. Number 2. At the start of the 1900s, gasoline was actually losing. In 1900, 40% of American cars ran on steam, 38% ran on electricity, and only 22% burned gas. Electric was the easy choice. No crank, no smoke, no noise. Then somebody invented the electric starter, gas got cheap, and the loud ones took over. The future was electric 120 years ago. We basically just hit undo. Number 3, the whole car thing started with one patent. On January 29, 1886, Carl Benz patented a vehicle powered by a gas engine. Mercedes literally calls it the birth certificate of the automobile. But Benz barely believed in his own invention. His wife did. In 1888, Bertha Benz grabbed the car and her 2 teenage sons, drove 60 miles to her mom's hometown without telling him, unclogged a fuel line with her hat pin, and bought fuel at a pharmacy on the way. She basically saved the company. Legend. Number 4. Henry Ford flopped a lot before the Model T. Before that car made him a household name in 1908, he built and sold 8 others, the Model A, B, C, F, K, N, R, and S. You've never heard of most of them, and a few lost serious money. But every flop taught him the same thing. Stop building fancy cars for the rich. Build a cheap one for everybody. He went through almost the whole alphabet to figure it out. Number 5. And once Ford had that cheap car, he went nuts making it cheaper. The Model T started at $850 in 1908. By 1925, $260. The trick was the moving assembly line. A car that used to take 12.5 hours to build now took 93 minutes. By the mid-20s, he was cranking out close to $2 million a year, about one every minute. Ford didn't invent the car. He invented the price tag. Number 6. Plot twist for Ford fans. The guys who built the first Fords became his biggest rivals. Back in 1903, 2 brothers, John and Horace Dodge, made the engines, transmissions, and axles for early Ford cars. Ford couldn't pay cash, so he handed them 10% of his company instead. That 10% made them millions. Then in 1914, they took the money, walked out, and built their own car. You've heard of it, it's called Dodge. Number 7. Quick one, your dashboard is named after a horse. Seriously. Back in the 1840s, a dashboard was just a plank of wood or leather on the front of a horse-drawn carriage. Its whole job was to stop the mud and rocks, dashed up by the horse's hooves, from smacking you in the face. The horse left, the engine showed up, the board stayed, and the gauges moved onto it. Same name, no horse. Number 8. Not every founder cashed in. Louis Chevrolet, yes, that Chevrolet, barely made a dime off the company with his name on it. He co-founded it in 1911, then fought with his business partner. Chevrolet wanted a big fancy car. His partner wanted a cheap one for the masses. Chevrolet lost, sold his shares, and watched the cheap car make everybody else rich. His own businesses tanked. He spent his last years working as a mechanic in a Chevy plant and died nearly broke in 1941. Brutal. Number 9. The first car ever built just to show off was a Buick. In 1938, GM's design boss Harley Earl built a car he never planned to sell. He called it the Y Job. Hidden headlights, flush door handles, a power top, electric windows, none of that was normal back then. It was the world's first concept car, built purely to test what people wanted. Earl loved it so much he drove it around as his daily. And almost every weird feature on it is totally normal now. Number 10. One company invented something priceless and then just gave it away. In 1959, Volvo engineer Niels Bohlin designed the 3-point seatbelt. the lap and shoulder one in every car today. He came from designing ejection seats for fighter jets, so the guy knew his stuff. Volvo patented it, then opened the patent so every rival could use it for free. Their logic? Saving lives beats making money. That one seatbelt has saved over 1 million people. Good guy Volvo. Number 11. The guy who invented cruise control was completely blind. Ralph Teeter lost his sight in an accident when he was 6 and grew up to be one of the best engineers in America. The idea hit him in the 1930s while riding shotgun with his lawyer, who kept speeding up and slowing down every time he talked. It drove Teeter crazy, so he built a gadget to lock in a steady speed, patented it, and it landed on the 1958 Chrysler. A blind man taught the world to take its foot off the gas. Number 12. Airbags are stupid fast. In a crash, one goes from folded up to fully open in about 0.03 of a second, faster than you can blink. Sensors catch the sudden drop in speed, a little charge fires, and the bag inflates at almost 200 miles an hour, then starts deflating the second it's full, so it cushions you instead of clobbering you. The whole thing's over before your brain even registers the crash. Number 13. For about a century, America bought more cars than anyone. Not anymore. The country that now buys and builds the most? China. In one recent year, China cranked out over 34 million vehicles, more than double the US, and about half the new cars sold there plug-in. The center of the car world packed up, left Detroit, and moved to the other side of the planet, way faster than anyone saw coming. Number 14. One guy, one car, 3 million miles. In 1966, a New York schoolteacher named Irv Gordon bought a red Volvo P1800 and basically never stopped driving it, 49 states, all over Europe. His own oil changes the whole way. By the time he died in 2018, the odometer read over 3.26 million miles, the most ever on a single car, enough to lap the planet 130 times. And the engine? Rebuilt twice. That's it. Number 15. And the best-selling car of all time isn't a Mustang, a Beetle, or anything cool. It's the Toyota Corolla. Boring, beige, basically invisible in traffic. Since 1966, Toyota's sold over 50 million of them in more than 150 countries. It never tried to be exciting. It just started every single morning and outlasted every flashier car around it. The most successful car ever made is the one nobody even notices. Number 16. Oldsmobile beat Ford to the assembly line. The first car ever mass-produced wasn't a Ford. It was the Oldsmobile Curved Dash, way back in 1901. Ransom Olds built them on a moving line 2 years before Ford even started his company. Ford gets the credit. Olds did it first. Number 17. The word car is older than the car. It comes from the Latin carus, a two-wheeled war chariot the ancient Celts rode into battle. So every time you say car, you're using a word for something that's been gone for 2,000 years. Number 18. The windshield wiper was invented by a woman who never made a dime off it. In 1903, Mary Anderson patented a hand-cranked blade to clear rain off the glass. Car makers told her it was useless. Her patent ran out right before wipers became standard on every single car. Classic. Number 19. And the intermittent wiper, the one that pauses between swipes, sparked a court fight that lasted decades. Robert Kearns showed his design to the big automakers. They used it without paying him, and he sued Ford and Chrysler for years. He won. They even made a movie about it. Number 20. Before the electric starter, a car could break your arm. You started it with a hand crank, and if the engine kicked back, it could snap your wrist. One man actually died after a crank got him. That death is what pushed Cadillac to put the first electric starter in a car in 1912. Push a button, keep your bones. Number 21. The first person ever killed by a car was hit at about 4 miles an hour. It happened in London in 1896 by a car creeping along slower than you walk. The official at the inquest said he hoped this would never happen again. Yeah. About that. Number 22. Leonardo da Vinci sketched a self-driving car over 500 years ago. Around 1478, he drew a spring-powered cart that could roll on its own. No horse, no driver. For centuries, everyone assumed it couldn't work. In 2004, a museum finally built one. It worked. Number 23. Lamborghini started out making tractors. Ferruccio Lamborghini built farm tractors, got rich, and treated himself to a Ferrari. which kept burning out its clutch. When he complained, Enzo Ferrari basically told him to stick to tractors, so Ferruccio built his own sports car out of pure spite. That's the entire origin story. Number 24. That's also why there's a bull on every Lamborghini. Ferruccio's zodiac sign was Taurus, so he slapped a bull on the badge and started naming his cars after famous fighting bulls. Number 25. Take the Murcielago. It's named after a legendary fighting bull from the 1800s that survived its battle in the ring. Murcielago also happens to mean bat in Spanish, which is exactly why Batman drives one in the movies. Number 26. Ferrari only built road cars to pay for racing. Enzo Ferrari ran the race team for Alfa Romeo before going solo, and to him, selling cars to the public was just a way to fund the real obsession, winning on the track. Number 27. Honda started with motorcycles, and before that, bicycles. Soichiro Honda began by bolting little engines onto bikes after the war. Motorcycles came next. Honda didn't build its first proper car until 1963. Number 28. Subaru is named after a cluster of stars. Look at the badge, 6 stars, that's the Pleiades, and Subaru is the Japanese word for it. The 6 stars stand for the companies that merged to form it. Number 29. Saab built fighter jets before it built cars. The name literally stands for Swedish Aeroplane Company. So when they made their first car in 1949, the engineers were airplane guys, and it came out shaped like a wing. Number 30. Audi is just Latin for listen. The founder, August Horsch, got pushed out of the company that carried his own name. Horsch means listen in German, so for his new company, he simply translated it into Latin, Audi. Number 31. Mercedes is named after a little girl. An early investor named Emil Jelinek loved the cars so much, he named them after his young daughter, Mercedes. The name stuck, and the founder's name, Daimler, faded into the background. Number 32. The 3-pointed Mercedes star actually means something. Engines for land, sea, and air. Gottlieb Daimler first drew it on a postcard to his wife. Number 33. And the BMW badge is not a spinning propeller. Everyone thinks it is. It's really just the blue and white of the Bavarian flag. The propeller story came along later, in an ad. Number 34. Toyota used to be spelled Toyota. The company began making weaving looms, and the founder's name was Toyota. They swapped the D for a T, partly because Toyota takes 8 brushstrokes to write in Japanese, and 8 is a lucky number. Number 35. The Rolls-Royce hood ornament is based on a secret love affair. The little flying lady, the spirit of ecstasy, was modeled on a woman in a forbidden romance with a British lord. She's been riding on the nose of Rolls-Royces for over a century. Number 36. Preston Tucker built one of the safest cars of its time, and the industry buried it. The Tucker 48 had seatbelts, a pop-out windshield, and a third headlight in the middle that turned with the wheels. Only 51 were ever made before the big automakers helped shut him down. Number 37. The DeLorean is famous for a movie, not for sales. Stainless steel body, gull-wing doors, and a starring role in Back to the Future. But the company collapsed almost immediately. Only about 9,000 were ever built. Number 38. The Chrysler Airflow was years ahead of its time and people hated it. Back in 1934, Chrysler built a smooth, aerodynamic car while everyone else was selling boxes. Buyers thought it looked bizarre, and it flopped, but every slippery modern car owes it something. Number 39. The muscle car era basically kicked off with the Pontiac GTO in 1964. Big engine, midsize car, not much else to it. And they lifted the name GTO straight from Ferrari. Number 40. The Ford Mustang sold 1 million cars in under 2 years. It launched in 1964 and invented a whole new category, the pony car. People lined up around the block to buy one. Number 41. The first Corvette had a plastic body. When Chevy launched the Corvette in 1953, steel was tight, so they molded the body out of fiberglass. It stuck. Corvettes have been fiberglass ever since. Number 42. Henry Ford doubled his workers' pay just to stop them quitting. In 1914, he offered $5 a day, twice the going rate. The assembly line was so mind-numbing that people kept walking out, and the raise fixed it. Bonus, it turned his own workers into customers. Number 43. Any color you like, as long as it's black, wasn't always true. Early Model Ts came in several colors. Ford went all black later for one boring reason. Black paint dried the fastest, so the line could move quicker. Number 44. The Jeep got its name from GP. It was a military vehicle in World War II, and the story goes that GP, for general purpose, got slurred into Jeep. The war turned it into a legend. Number 45. The catalytic converter forced the whole country onto unleaded gas. When it arrived in 1975, leaded fuel would destroy it, so leaded gas got phased out for good. Oh, and the thing runs on actual platinum. Number 46. Anti-lock brakes came from airplanes first. Pilots needed wheels that wouldn't lock up on landing. Car makers borrowed the idea decades later and put it under your foot. Number 47. The crumple zone is a car designed to brake on purpose. A Mercedes engineer named Bela Barany patented it back in 1952. The front of the car crushes so you don't. It might be the single biggest reason people walk away from crashes today. Number 48. The rearview mirror was invented for racing. At the very first Indy 500 in 1911, one driver bolted a mirror to his car so he could drop the guy who usually rode along just to look backward. He won the race. Number 49. The rotary engine has no pistons. It just spins. Mazda bet big on the Wankel rotary, a strange little engine that whirls in a circle instead of pumping up and down. It was smooth, tiny, and thirsty, and Mazda is one of the only companies that ever made it work. Number 50. The Toyota Prius made the hybrid normal. When it showed up in 1997, a car that ran on both gas and electricity sounded like a science fair project. Now, some version of that idea is in half the cars on the road. Number 51. The Bugatti Veyron was the first production car to break 250 miles an hour. To pull it off, Bugatti bolted 4 turbochargers to a 16-cylinder engine. It was less a car than a missile with seats. Number 52. And at full speed, the Veyron's tires last about 15 minutes. Good thing the fuel tank runs dry in about 12, so you'll be coasting to a stop before the tires ever give out. Number 53. The McLaren F1 was the fastest car of the 1990s, and its engine bay was lined with gold. Real gold, because it reflects heat the best. The driver even sits dead center, like a fighter pilot. It hit 240 miles an hour. Number 54. The most expensive car ever sold went for about $142 million. It was a 1955 Mercedes, a 300 SLR Uhlenhaut Coupe, and only 2 were ever built. A private buyer grabbed one in 2022. Number 55. One car is so valuable a court called it art. The Ferrari 250 GTO is worth tens of millions, and a judge actually recognized it as a work of art, which conveniently makes it a lot harder for anyone to build a copy. Number 56. Rolls-Royce claims about 3 out of every 4 cars it has ever built are still on the road, over more than 100 years. That's either unbelievable engineering or unbelievable marketing. Probably a bit of both. Number 57. The most produced single car design ever is the original VW Beetle. Over 21 million of them, built almost unchanged for decades all over the world. People just kept buying the same bug. Number 58. And that Beetle was designed by Ferdinand Porsche, the same man from Fact 1. He drew up Germany's people's car in the 1930s, and the basic design stayed in production until 2003. Nearly 70 years. Almost nothing else has lasted that long. Number 59. Volkswagen's best-selling product isn't a car, it's a sausage. The VW Currywurst even has its own official part number, 199398500. In a lot of years, Volkswagen makes more sausages than cars. Number 60. North Korea ordered 1,000 Volvos and never paid for them. Back in 1974, Sweden shipped 1,000 Volvo sedans to Pyongyang as a trade deal. North Korea took the cars and ignored the bill. Sweden still sends the invoice twice a year. 50 years later, still nothing. Number 61. Sweden once switched which side of the road it drives on overnight. On September 3rd, 1967, the whole country flipped from the left to the right at 5 in the morning. They called it Dagen H. Somehow, it mostly went fine. Number 62. There's a sports car floating around the sun right now. In 2018, Elon Musk launched a cherry red Tesla Roadster into space on a rocket, with a mannequin in a spacesuit named Starman behind the wheel. It's still out there orbiting. Number 63. The German Autobahn still has stretches with no speed limit at all. It's the only major road network on Earth where, legally, you can drive as fast as your car will physically go. Number 64. America's old 55-mile-an-hour speed limit had nothing to do with safety. The double nickel came in during the 1970s oil crisis, purely to save gas. People resented it for decades. Number 65. The Lexus LFA revs so fast that a normal gauge couldn't keep up. Its 10-cylinder engine spins up so quickly that a real physical needle actually lagged behind. So Lexus ditched it for a digital one. Number 66. Your car spends about 95% of its life just sitting there. Add up the average day, and the thing you spent all that money on is parked roughly 22 hours out of 24. Number 67. The most stolen car in America isn't a Ferrari, it's a Hyundai Elantra. A viral video showed how easy some Hyundais and Kias were to steal, and thefts blew up. Across the country, a car still gets stolen about every 48 seconds. Number 68. The first car radio showed up in 1930, and people thought it was dangerous. It was an early Motorola, and the name is just Motor plus Victrola. Some states actually tried to ban radios for distracting drivers. Number 69. Tesla is the most valuable car maker on the planet, by a mile. It's worth more than the next several automakers combined, even though Toyota sells way more actual cars. Wall Street isn't really buying cars here, it's buying the future. Number 70. The Grand Tour was almost called Nigel. When the hosts needed a name for the show, somebody half-jokingly pitched Nigel because, hey, it's a name that has Clarkson's fingerprints all over it. Number 71. Jaguar used to be called SS Cars. Before World War II, that was literally the company's name. For very obvious reasons, they dropped it the moment the war started. Number 72. The Lamborghini Countach is named after a swear word, sort of. Countach is a Piedmontese exclamation, roughly what you'd blurt out when you see something jaw-dropping. Basically the Italian version of whoa. Number 73. The Ferrari prancing horse came off a fighter plane. It was the personal emblem of an Italian flying ace from World War I. The ace's mother told Enzo Ferrari it would bring him luck, so he put it on his cars. Number 74. Cadillac is named after a Frenchman who founded Detroit. Antoine de la Mothe Cadillac started the city back in 1701. The car company took his name and his coat of arms 2 centuries later. Number 75. Aston Martin is one founder plus one hill. Lionel Martin built the cars, and Aston comes from Aston Hill, a climb he loved to race up. Put them together, and you've got Aston Martin. Number 76. The Porsche 911 has kept its engine in the wrong place for 60 years. It hangs out behind the rear wheels, which should make the car a handful, and the early ones were. Porsche just kept refusing to move it and engineered around it instead. Number 77. A Citroën may have saved a French president's life. In 1962, gunmen ambushed Charles de Gaulle's car and shot out its tires. But the Citroën's clever suspension kept the car level, and the driver sped off on the bare rims. De Gaulle didn't even lose his cool. Number 78. The original Mini was born out of a fuel crisis. When fuel got scarce in the 1950s, Britain needed a car that was tiny and cheap, but still fit 4 people. The Mini nailed it, and accidentally became a 1960s icon. Number 79. That new car smell is just chemicals. It's the plastics, glues, and finishes inside a new car slowly off-gassing. People love it. It's literally fumes. Number 80. There are roughly 1.5 billion cars in the world right now. That's about 1 for every 5 or 6 people on Earth. And the number climbs every single year. Number 81. Horsepower was basically a sales pitch. The engineer James Watt came up with it to sell his steam engines. He worked out how much a horse could haul, then rated his machines against it. 1 horsepower is the force to lift 550 pounds 1 foot in 1 second. Number 82. A real horse, by the way, can briefly put out around 15 horsepower. So 1 galloping horse is, for a split second, worth about 15 horsepower. The math only sort of holds up. Number 83. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway is nicknamed the Brickyard for a reason. It was once paved with over 3 million actual bricks. There's still a strip of them at the finish line. And the winners kiss it. Number 84. The most feared track in racing, the Nürburgring, is nicknamed the Green Hell. It's a 13-mile monster of a circuit in Germany, and car makers still use it to prove their fastest cars can survive it. Number 85. The first traffic light blew up. London put up a gaslit signal in 1868 to manage horse traffic. A few weeks later, it exploded and injured the policeman working it. Electric traffic lights didn't catch on for another 50 years. Number 86. Those reflective bumps in the road have a name and an inventor. They're called cat's eyes, and a British man named Percy Shaw came up with them in the 1930s, supposedly after his headlights caught the eyes of a real cat on a dark road. Number 87. America's whole highway system was inspired by the Autobahn. Eisenhower had seen Germany's high-speed roads up close and pushed to build the interstate network across the United States in the 1950s. Number 88. The first car air conditioning was a luxury option back in 1939. Packard offered it. It was huge, pricey, and ate up half the trunk, but you could finally drive in summer without melting into the seat. Number 89. The Hummer started life as a military truck. The civilian Hummer was just a dressed-up version of the Army's Humvee. Then it became a symbol of excess, quietly disappeared, and recently came back as an electric truck. Number 90. A modern car is made of about 30,000 parts. Count every nut, bolt, and clip, and the average car is roughly 30,000 pieces, all working together at once. How many could you actually name? Number 91. The windshield itself is a safety invention. Laminated glass, a thin layer of plastic sandwiched between 2 sheets of glass, was put in cars so the windshield would crack instead of shattering into knives, and it came from a lucky lab accident. Number 92. Power steering exists because early cars were a workout to drive. Big, heavy vehicles took real muscle just to turn. Hydraulic power steering fixed that. It turned parking into a one-finger job and showed up on American cars in the 1950s. Number 93. The first person ever fined for speeding was doing 8 miles an hour. Back in 1896, an Englishman blew through a town with a 2-mile-an-hour limit at a reckless 8, got chased down by a cop on a bicycle, and was fined 1 shilling. History's very first speeding ticket. Number 94. The Porsche 959 was illegal in America for years. It was one of the fastest cars of the 1980s, but Porsche never crash tested it for the US, so the rich buyers who imported one couldn't legally drive it here until the law finally changed. Number 95. The Mazda Miata is the best-selling 2-seat sports car ever made. It brought back the cheap, simple, fun little roadster in 1989, right when everyone figured that kind of car was dead. Millions later, it's in the record books. Number 96. The first off-roaders were basically war surplus. The early machines that led to today's SUVs grew straight out of military trucks like the Jeep and the Land Rover, and the Land Rover was first sketched in the sand on a beach. Number 97. Henry Ford's Model T was so dominant it once made up half the cars on Earth. At its peak in the 1920s, more than half of every car in the world was a Model T. No single car has ever come close to that share again. Number 98. The drive-thru was invented because cars just wouldn't stop coming. As America fell in love with the automobile, banks and restaurants started letting you do everything without leaving your seat. The car ended up reshaping entire cities around itself. Number 99. The fastest a production car has ever gone is over 300 miles an hour. A handful of hypercars, from makers like Bugatti, Koenigsegg, and SSC, have pushed past 300 in the last few years. At that speed, the scenery doesn't blur. It just disappears. Number 100. Your car is basically held to the road by a few square inches of rubber. All 4 tires together touch the ground over an area about the size of your 2 feet. And that's the only thing connecting 2 tons of steel to the road at 70 miles an hour. Sleep tight. Number 101.
And here's the one that brings it full circle. The very first car Ferdinand Porsche ever built was electric. And now, more than 100 years later, the whole industry is racing back to exactly where it started. The future of the car looks an awful lot like its past. Funny how that works.